I've had a great time in these videos with you regarding AAA and the concepts of it and how we can differentiate AAA, this new model, from doing just local usernames and local passwords on each individual router. So to wrap this up, here's what I'd love us to do. Let's take a look at some practice questions just to confirm our understanding before we move on. So without further ado, here is question number 1. What does this command do? So the command of AAA, authentication, login, this-way, group, radius. So take a look at the 5 possible choices, make your best decision on which answer is correct, and we'll be back in just a moment to compare notes. And what we're looking at with this command, this is a method list. So this method list is named this way, and when we apply this list to like a VTY line, then at that moment this list will be used. So this list basically says use a radius server for login authentication. So let's take a look at our answers. Forces all login authentications to use radius. Now this is kind of tricky because this is a method list. So if we just created this and it wasn't applied anywhere, it wouldn't be forcing login authentication using anything until it's applied. So this is not going to force all login authentications to use radius because it would have to be applied everywhere. This command by itself is just a method list. So answer B, forces all login authentication to use TACACS. Nope, this is a method list for radius. C, forces all authentication to use a AAA server. Once again, no, because we haven't applied this method list called this way to a line or to some other access method. Answer D says creates a method list, which is exactly what this is doing. So answer E is out as well. So the key here is this is just a method list that we would create, and then we'd have to apply it. An example would be applying the method list to a VTY line. And once we apply the method list to the VTY line, boom, then that method list would be used once it's applied. All right, question number 2. Which of the following from this list, which of the following is the most significant benefit of using a TACACS or radius server? So take a look at the possible answers, choose one, and we'll be right back to compare. So let's take a look at answer A, cost. Now that is an interesting one because if we have AAA set up and we're successfully being used on an enterprise network with hundreds of devices, that is going to save man hours because we're not going to have to locally administer user accounts on every single router. However, we have to pay for the servers. So if we purchased ICE or some other type of AAA server, that's not free. That's going to require a license. So I'm going to say that cost, including the initial cost, is not going to be the benefit of using a AAA server. Really the big benefit is centralized administration so that we can create the user like Bob, whether he's an administrator or an end user. We create him on the AAA server, and then if we have 20 or 30 or 1,000 devices, we can train all those devices to be AAA clients, and if Bob tries to log on to any of those devices, any of those AAA clients can check with the AAA server and say, hey, it's Bob, are his credentials correct? And if they are, they can let him in. So from this list, one of the biggest benefits would be centralized administration. Other benefits would include the ability that we can do accounting and authorization and authentication very effectively to control our network. So it's not going to mean faster logins. If somebody's logging in directly to a router and not having to check with a AAA server, that would very likely be faster for a login. And the local account administration on routers is what we're avoiding with the centralized administration. So the answer here is B, centralized administration. So thank you for joining me in these videos where we've talked about the concepts and ideas regarding AAA and how it can help us in an enterprise network to manage our devices. Now, in separate videos and including the professional level videos, we'll take a closer look as far as how to implement and manage the authentication, authorization, and accounting at a very deep level. So our goal in these videos was to introduce the concept so we're familiar with the idea about AAA and how it can help us in our networks. So I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.